All right, stage walkthrough. This is our second stage, technically stage 4 at the match, but our second. Shooter begins in start box, rifle loaded, held at low ready, pistol loaded and holstered. At buzzer, shooter will engage all rifle paper targets while remaining in the start box. Shooter will then safe their rifle on the provided table right here, pointed towards the berm safely. Shooter will then proceed to the end of the hallway and neutralize one plate on the Texas Star, then one popper, then one plate on the Texas Star, then one popper, alternating back and forth respectively. Intentionally engaging more than one knockdown target or one Texas Star plate at a time will be a miss penalty per instance. Standard scoring on paper, any KD targets or Texas Star plates remaining will be scored as a miss.
Nicely done.
Well, we just shot our second stage of the day.
Yeah.
So this one was a real mix of CQB, pistol, and rifle.
It was a cool, I liked the pistol part. You had a Texas Star and 5 plates and you had to alternate back and forth.
Kind of a test of the red dot Glock.
Yeah, I tell you what, I ended up looking pretty good, testament to the dot, because my trigger control was atrocious.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was winging shots.
So are you
it
saying
felt
that
like I was winging shots all over the place.
Clearly you never want to do this, but you're saying the dot helped you really have a bad grip and bad trigger control do better as a result?
Yeah.
If that had been irons, it would have been worse.
I would have been far worse with irons, because I guarantee you my sight alignment would have been much worse at the same time.
This is one of the funny things I'm starting to learn using the red dot Glock, because I'm new to that, quite honestly. And it's not something that immediately makes you better. It's something you have to practice with, and it's almost a different skill set, a little bit.
Yes.
But just like a red dot on a rifle, it also allows you in unorthodox and or not proper positions to get hits you wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Yeah.
So that's a huge advantage. Shooting things on the move, maybe your grip ain't right, maybe you're laying on the ground doing something you don't want to be, you could still get a sight picture.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're talking about.
Yep, exactly.
Now the other thing I noticed with you today is that the 1X on your Vortex scope, you actually came up and engaged those close targets quite quickly.
I did. It's not quite perfect. You can see some phase, I don't want to say phase change, but that's not the right term.
But there's like a little wibble wobble.
Yep. So looking through the scope and looking through nothing are not quite identical, but they're pretty close. And yeah, I was quite happy with being able to just blast away on those things very quickly.
Did you have the dot on?
Yes.
So does it act like a red dot at 1X?
Yeah.
Pretty much?
Not a very good red dot. I mean, compared to a true red dot. But it certainly is better than having just a plain scope.
I will say this, with the Trijicon 1-4 I'm using with the Accupoint, the 1X is so good that while there is still technically eye relief, coming up on that and getting a sight picture was very close to that of a red dot.
Yeah.
Now, that said, I was in a nice standing offhand position with a good cheek weld. I don't know that that would be the case in some weird positions, which we'll have later in the match.
Right.
But when I came up and was shooting, that to me might as well have been a red dot.
Yeah.
So once again, that 1-4 is a very nice scope. And
so I haven't used it here, but I've used that scope at the range off camera, and I really like the larger triangle.
Yes, I agree with that.
And we're going to be looking at the loophole 1-6, which has a horseshoe that lights up. And I'm thinking I would rather have, I want a little more red in that reticle for up close. I think that would be helpful.
You know, it's funny, some of the earlier aim points had 4 MOA dots.
Yeah.
And now everybody's 1 MOA or trying to be 1 MOA. And I'm not so sure that a 4 MOA dot's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to do quick acquisition with a red dot.
Well, the EOTech solution is, I think, really ideal, where you've got a giant circle that's going to be out of your way for any precision shooting, but it lets you get something really close, up close.
Yes.
And I think the loophole reticle pretty much does that. You've got a 1 MOA dot in the very center if you need that. but you're not dependent on that to be all of your eyeball focusing.
I wouldn't say it's the equivalent of an EOTech, but I do think you have a bigger red dot. It looks like a bigger red dot at 1x.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. The EOTech, that giant circle really is excellent for fast acquisition at close targets.
Yeah.
It's fantastic for that.
Yep.
But it'll be interesting to see how it all pans
Your
out.
Trijicon chevron is kind of like a big 4 MOA dot.
No, it really is.
It's just a triangular dot.
But again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double down on the 1 to 4 Trijicon Accupoint is more of a close range to mid range scope than it is for any level of precision.
Okay.
And I think that the Vortex, from what I'm seeing with you so far and from what we've experienced, is fine for close range, but does cater better to that mid range.
Yeah.
So.
Question for you.
Yes.
What are you doing about the power level on your Delta Point?
Oh, on my pistol, I leave it at the brightest power all the time.
Okay.
And I just leave it there.
What's the battery life?
So far, I have not had the battery die, but to be honest with you, I've been proactively changing it every 2 weeks because I'm using it as a carry gun.
Okay.
And I don't want to bring that, if I need that, God forbid, if I need to bring that out and I'm now using that, I don't want to find out that the battery's dead.
Because you might do exactly what I did on this stage, which you may or may not have noticed watching.
I did not.
I've been leaving the thing off when I have the gun at home because the RMR had a battery life of like a year. So I just left it on all the time. The Delta Point, my understanding, has a much lower battery life. So I've been leaving it off, and I forgot to turn it on before that stage.
So did you hit the button?
Yeah. So I went up there, drew, had nothing, hit the button, and then started shooting.
Okay, in a match, not what you'd want for a carry pistol.
Definitely not.
And so one thing about the Delta Point Pro is that when it's sitting idle and is not being moved, it will turn itself off.
Okay.
But remember, when you're carrying this thing in an appendix holster,
Right, it's moving all the time.
so therefore the dot's on all the time. So it's only at rest when it's at rest.
Right.
So I think that, I don't know what the exact number is, and it's a number we need to figure out.
Yeah.
But for a carry pistol with a Delta Point Pro, I would advise proactively changing the battery out at whatever interval you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
I have been going with every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So not a big deal. It's not a lot of money. It's just a proactive maintenance thing that you now have to be cognizant of on your calendar if you're carrying this for a carry gun.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I thought that was going to be relevant.
Interesting. Good point.
So.
All right, so we got 2 more to go. Let's see what happens.
So you beat me by what?
Oh.
11 seconds?
I was 24 seconds raw time with 2 -1s for 26 total.
Yep, and I was 35 plus 2, I believe.
So you were 37.
Yeah.
So we're just about 9 seconds, 10 seconds apart.
Yeah.
So
I could have done a little better if I hadn't needed a reload and if I'd remembered to turn my dot on.
that is true. I did start off with a gigantic 33 round happy stick.
Oh, I didn't bring mine today.
I'm in
I
armored.
should have.
Why would I not want as many bullets as possible?
I could too. Why didn't I bring it?
You cheated yourself.
Shoot.
Oh well. I don't know that it was a 10-second reload. We would have been closer though.
No, 1:10, but would have been a little closer.
Well, we got 2 more stages to go, and there is
All
more
right.
pistols, so we'll find out.
Yeah, and they're fun stages too.